Hello and welcome to the D
and A of Home Interiors, the podcast which is all about empowering you to make confident interior and furnishing decisions for your home. I'm Audrey, founder of Audrey Whelan Interior Design.
And I'm Deirdre, founder of youfurnish.com, such 100 plus furniture retailers on one website. The DNA of Home Interiors is proudly sponsored by checkatrade.com. If you need help with your next home improvement project, you can search from over 39,000 recommended, vetted and monitored trades on checkatrade.com. Today we are welcoming Martin Gill, Managing Director of And So to Bed. Prior to And So to Bed, Martin has a background in interiors, including Pog and Pole, where he was the Managing Director for over 15 years, and as the Chief Operating Officer at Smallbone. Martin, a huge welcome to you today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So we're going to be talking all things beds, and January is a time where, we've got short hours of daylight. I think we all become fond of our beds post-Christmas and the excess meals, and sleeping seems to be the hibernation sort of theme goes through January, definitely in my head anyways. What's the first thing that you think about when your customers come into your showroom, they're looking for a bed? What's the key driver of the consideration in purchasing the perfect bed?
There are so many drivers. It could be someone's sleeping badly, they've got a bad back and they just need to get a new mattress. It could be that they've been stuck at home for the last 9 months, a year in lockdown, and they're doing up the house room by room, and their bedroom seems to be where most people are spending their time, and it wants a complete redecoration. So it could be a style change and so on. So and it could be that they're moving house at that time and they need a different product, and products wear out. So I wouldn't say that one driver is more than another at this time of year, but really I think it's most people are after comfortability. Yeah.
And it's always the thing that Audrey and I talk about. So, we've got design and then you've got your practicality. So I've got a bad back, or what's the mattress going to be? But I suppose we're all very visual by nature. So in terms of the design, what are you finding are the different types of beds that are most popular? And does that differ between, certain age groups or demographics prefer one bed type versus the other?
Before I came to And So to Bed, the business was really regarded as being a very period in terms of the furniture, the periodic style, in terms of sleigh beds, whether it be the slipper style or a socle style of a wooden or painted sleigh bed. Also many styles of metal beds. So we have a fantastic range of metal beds in the business, but what we didn't have and what we were missing, obviously, is the cutting edge, the more modern design. And what we wanted to do was open up the business to be able to offer a broader range, a broader spectrum of different colours. So whether that be in metal, where you go for a more, let's say, nickel style. So rather than the standard brass bed, you go for a polished nickel. It really takes a more period style bed and brings it to the current styles. Or whether it be going for upholstered beds have really come on in the last 2, 3, 4 years. And what we're finding more and more is that people want to bespoke their own products. They want their own upholstery. So the fact that you can have the bed in your style that matches the rest of the room. So that's what we're finding more and more, is that really people are really wanting a bespoke product. So whether it be painted, whether it be upholstered, and obviously then you've got modern and more contemporary products as well.
And Martin, when it comes to all these types of beds, so, sometimes I find I mention a few words, including divan and ottoman, to clients, and they've never heard those words before. Are those two types of beds still quite popular?
Yeah, so I've been in the bed industry for only 3 years, so I would say I'm a relatively novice in some ways. Coming from the kitchen background, so coming in and I had the same thing. What's an ottoman? What's a divan? And divan with drawers, without drawers, and so on. What's old-fashioned? I mean, I probably hadn't changed my bed for 10 years before I came here. And I didn't realise that the divan base could match the headboard, and it could look like a bed frame. So now what we sell all the time is a coloured base and headboard with the fabric to match. So you don't have to have a valance. In the past, it was all about having a valance and so on. Whereas now, I don't think any of our customers tend to use a valance at all. So really it is the styling of a divan base. So the difference between a divan and an ottoman is an ottoman is a storage base, and a divan base can come with drawers to give you storage, but it's not like an ottoman, which is basically a lift-up bed. So the whole of the platform lifts up. Now, they're great if you don't have a big, heavy mattress, and there are supports that help lift them up, but really it does depend on the mattress that you have on there, because some of our top-of-the-range mattresses, even with the great sort of spring struts that lift the ottoman up, they're not going to be strong enough to lift some of our high-end mattresses. So it really does depend. You will find that in a divan base, you can have a divan which has got a solid top, so it sounds like this. Or you can have a divan base that is a sprung base, which works with the mattress. So there are different types of divan base. You've got a solid base, you've got a sprung base, you've got divans with drawers in, without drawers in, with casters, without casters, on legs, not on legs. So the options just go on forever. Also, with a divan base, it could be 17 centimeters in height and then supported on tall legs so you can see underneath the bed. Or a divan base can be a high divan and it sits on casters, so it effectively goes to the floor. So there are so many options when choosing. So you're right, it's not as easy as you might think buying a bed.
Well, that was definitely my experience, Martin. And I remember thinking, I went into a shop and they were saying, oh, you need an ottoman bed. So I live in a small apartment, not that much storage. I was like, no, I don't want any sort of Turkish Ottoman Empire type of bed. I didn't even know what it was. And they sort of showed me and I was like, okay. And I think an ottoman is very easy to understand once you see the picture of the flex up. But divan really confused me, actually. And I think it's because, as you mentioned, there is lots of different types. Which one would you recommend? If you were buying one for yourself in the morning, would you have the hard top divan or would you have the ones with the springs in it? What's the advantages, the pros and cons of each?
It all depends on the mattress that it's going with. So with Vice Springs, we're a big retailer of Vice Spring luxury mattresses. Their mattresses tend to work better on a sprung base, because then the two sets of springs work with you to give you the maximum support and maximum comfort. But within the Vice Spring range, they also have a range of mattresses that work with other people's products in terms of the bases. So they have what they call a bedstead mattress, which a bedstead mattress is not designed to go on a sprung base. That's designed to go on a hard base. In terms of what I would choose, everybody's different. It really depends on the support that you want and how comfortable you want that bed to be. So I would personally recommend for me to have a sprung base, working with a sprung mattress, because then you get the maximum support and comfortable. When it's a harder base, even you've just got the springs in the mattress sitting on a hard base, you get a totally different feel. So you can have your mattress at home today. If you put that on the floor, you get one feel. If you put it on the bed, if it's got springs in the bed, you get a totally different feel. And that's what, if you have a divan base which is solid, you're going to get a very, very different feel from the same mattress. So, and so when people come in, we sort of ask, what are you looking for? Are you looking to keep your existing bed frame, bed base? Is it slats that have some flex? Is it a solid base? Or is it a sprung base? So they're the three main types: slats, sprung, or solid. And then once we know what type of base they're looking to go with, we can then recommend the right mattress to go with that. And that's then the difference between a bedstead mattress and a divan mattress. That all the difference is depending on what base it goes on.
And so, Martin, the divan base then, the sprung one, can that still have storage in it?
Yes.
Can.
Yeah, depends on the supplier, but through Vice Spring, absolutely. you'll tend to find that even on the vice spring ones, the sprung base will still give you probably 4 to 6 inches of springs before you get the drawers below. So it's a good amount of comfort there.
Yeah. And then, so I guess what you're saying about the divan base being fabric now, not like sort of the old days. So for the people who do remember the divans, it might be a word that you kind of run a mile from, thinking back on how divans used to be. And like you say, you needed the valance because the pattern on it was usually horrendous, wasn't it? It wasn't designed to be seen. But now if you can have that in your, say, choice of fabric, and as you mentioned, you could have the headboard in the same fabric. Are there other ways of doing it? Are there different types of headboards that might go with that? Or would it generally end up looking like a fully upholstered bed? Is that the aim?
Everybody said we tend to sell mostly the divan base is matched with the headboard. But and the vice spring range has 82 different fabrics as standard from stock. But then you have the opportunity to have your COMs, your customer's own material as well. So your interior designer can go and choose the fabric. The only thing about that, it takes slightly longer to manufacture, but also you've got to make sure it's got the correct fire rating as well. So you've got to make sure that it's fire rated or fire compliant, and you have to prove that or get us to fire test it for you, which takes a little bit longer. But you can really bespoke it to suit. And what we tend to do quite a lot at the moment is have a divan base and then a headboard that might have a very different floral pattern on it. So you won't want that on the base, but you might want a really extravagant headboard with a country scene on it. I mean, we have some amazing different finishes that you can do on headboards at the moment. And then what you'll have is something to tone in fabric-wise on the actual divan base, because you don't want a woodland scene, for example, running around on the divan, but you might want it onto the headboard.
So it sounds like there's plenty of choice, no matter what somebody wants, needs, practicality, design-wise, there's something to suit everybody.
Absolutely. On an upholstered divan and headboard, it's endless. The choice is absolutely endless.
So my next question is around, what do you actually see that people are going for? What's popular right now? And you mentioned, with some divans, you can see under the beds, others that you can't. Which do people prefer? And I have my mother ringing in my ear, and she always said, I don't want one of those bases that goes down to the floor because I keep stubbing my toes when I'm making the bed. So she was really anti it, but maybe people like it because otherwise, if you've got space, you're putting things under it and accumulating, all sorts of clutter. Do you see any sort of preferences running through consumers, what they're looking for?
There's a number of trends at the moment. So it was last year, we had a lot of greens that were in terms of fabric colours and choices, especially the darker greens. But in terms of the bedsteads themselves, we find that very in over the last 6 to 12 months has been what we call a Louis caned bed. So it's a Louis V style caned finish in I would say a dark walnut looking finish, almost a distressed finish. That has been so popular, and that we've had it in the range at And So To Bed for probably 20, 30 years. And it comes in and out of fashion. It's amazing how some of our stalwart ranges that we have that I would say will never take out the range, because one year they're in, the next year they're out, and so on. At this moment in time, it's just been amazing how we've had some of those, and we've had some great influencers that have picked up on these products. There's an Instagram guy called Man with a Hammer, for example, and he's doing a fantastic renovation of a property and has just put one of our Louis cane beds in there. Looks absolutely amazing. Definitely worth looking up. And I think when you look on the And So To Bed Instagram account, you'll see a lot of consumers that are sending in images of their products. So that tends to be a product that's coming over and over again. Other than that, I would say it is probably the metal bed trend has gone down slightly and more the upholstered finish. But it's what I think is more is that people want to bespoke. They don't want something that's off the shelf. What we find is people want something that is their own, they've worked on with their interior design to suit their colours and so on. So not always from our standard range of colours. The good thing about And So To Bed is we have an exclusive range of fabrics that we've taken to Vicepring and said, right, we want an exclusive range of products that are just in our fabrics. And we have a lot of what we call plush velvet fabrics at the moment, which really are doing very, very well for us at the moment. There's a big trend for the plush velvets going through in these some quite strong colours.
Yeah, that's really interesting what you're saying about the Louis bed, the cane bed. I have seen that one, and it caught my eye because I've been noticing that the cane material and that, that's something that we're kind of seeing more of on all types of furniture, really. I mean, I've seen it sort of used in upcycling on sort of cabinet doors, and then obviously the sort of seats that you get with the cane, like instead of an upholstered surface, the cane seats. And so I can definitely see how that's quite appealing at the moment. But one thing I was going to ask you was, what I've been seeing is that, there was a time where people were kind of thinking of their beds as maybe part of a set of furniture. So they'd have kind of the bed must match the bedside tables. So, but I feel with a lot of furniture now, we're kind of moving away from this idea that things need to be matching. So I wondered what you'd kind of say about this. Do you think it's almost given the bed a new lease of life?
We still have a range of our beds that has the furniture, so bedsides and beauty desks and 3-drawer, 5-drawer chests and so on to go with it. So we have certain ranges of that. But probably our most popular range is what we have, an eclectic range, which isn't designed to match the bed. It's just an eclectic range of furniture that are designed as bedside tables and so on. So we find that's probably the most popular at this moment in time, where people don't want exactly everything to match. They just want this eclectic mix of products. So we do find that quite a lot. We also find that a lot of people are just buying the bed from us at the moment, and they're going off elsewhere to find these bedside tables and so on. And that ties in with what you're saying. You'll also find that when you're buying an upholstered product, there's not very many nice upholstered bedsides out there. So you've got to have something, so you're forced not to have the match. If it's a Louis cane, we do a full set, and people tend to buy the Louis cane with the bedsides, with the 5-drawer chest, and with the dressing table and so on. But when the upholstered ones or even the metal beds, that's when you tend to find the more eclectic mix of products.
And rightly so, I think. My parents had a pink upholstered bed, pink upholstered headboard, and 2 bedside tables that were upholstered in pink.
Wow.
And they do not always stay in trend. I don't think I'll ever be able to have pink. I know it's sort of back in trend right now, but it's just been ruined for me. So there is that element of, because you do change your bed, but you're not necessarily buying a new bedside, table as often as you might replace your bed. So actually having that flexibility is probably quite nice.
We've just launched a new range of products, and it's just about, just being installed at this moment in time. And it is the bed frame, which is a leather clad frame, effectively. And then the bed sides and the 3-drawer chest and so on have the fascias in the side clad in the leather as well. And at first I thought, but actually when you see it, it's amazing. It looks really good. So very soon it's going to be on our website, and because we've literally just started putting it into 3 of our top stores as a trial at this moment in time. But what an amazing set together as furniture. It's not quite the pink upholstered look, so don't go down that road.
I think that's very specific.
But this, and at first I thought leather, but actually it works so well. And it's got a nice, very thin marble top on top of it as well. So, and in a grey marble, it just looks amazing. But we offer, I think there's something like 10 different finishes of the leather, about 5 finishes of the marble and the handle and so on. So it works really, really well.
Well, it actually sounds really nice. I'll have to be checking it out.
Yeah, what's that range called, Martin?
It's yet to be decided. Watch this space. I mean, it's that new, as in we're literally just trying to decide on the right name for it. So.
Amazing. Oh, it sounds great, though. I love the idea.
Maybe you can give me some ideas.
Yes, we can have a little brainstorm. Yeah, but I do love the idea of the marble and the leather. Yeah, I can already, I'm sort of conjuring up an image in my mind of what this all might look like.
It's quite luxury, I'm picturing.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, very much so.
And of course, leather is quite a nice material. If you spill a drink on your bedside table, very easy to wipe it down. What do people think, or do they think about the materials and the upkeep of those? Do you get many people that are concerned with, fabric headboards, for example, that they're going to get very dirty over time?
Okay. Let's start with the mattress, because that's the easiest part to start with. The mattress, would always recommend that you have a mat protector for the mattress, because for spillages and so on, a mat protector is a must for any mattress nowadays. So that's the first place that I would start. Then when it comes to the headboards, it's amazing how many people don't ask that. It's amazing the amount of people that come in and don't even think about it when they're buying the product, and we have to sort of point it out. The only one that is probably any concern on, it's not a problem with the metal beds, it's not a problem with the wooden beds. It could only be on the upholstered ones. And nowadays you have Scotch guarding and so on the upholstered products, and it's quite easy to wipe off with a damp cloth. So I would recommend you don't drink tea in bed though, but or red wine. But that's a personal choice. Champagne's all right. Doesn't need quite the same stain.
It doesn't stain. So you've got to think about your drinks carefully. But unlike what you're saying, Martin, I've actually found over the years that people would often question it with me when we discuss bed choice. The fabric, the maintenance, the fear that maybe it would be more difficult to keep it clean versus something else, some other material. But I suppose what's always kind of surprised me is that, people don't say that about sofas, but they'll say it about the bed. And I'll think, oh, well, actually, you're probably way more likely to spill something on a sofa. So that's kind of my angle on it anyway, how I like to kind of get around it.
Yeah, there's not so many people take red wine to bed. It is more going to be champagne or tea or coffee.
Getting delivered a tea in the morning. I'm sure there's some people out there that get that. I'm not lucky enough to get that yet. So there's big campaigns around mattresses and how often that you should replace them. And I don't know whether that's is that the science behind it? Is it every 7 years that they say you should replace your mattress? And then does that apply?
Every 2 years. Running a business every 2 years.
Every 2 years, okay. It's like the De Beers 3 months salary for your diamond ring if you're getting engaged. So it's all a marketing game, is it?
It's to me, someone like Weissman will offer a 30-year guarantee, but you're not going to keep your mattress for 30 years. And then it depends on the quality of the mattress you buy, because you can't just put a number on it. If you were to buy a mattress from many of these, I would say, bed-in-a-box retailers, and don't get me wrong, there are different qualities of a bed-in-a-box, but these, I would say the foam, literally, is just a lump of foam on a lot of them. It's not going to last very, very long. The foam is going to deteriorate over time and so on. A good quality mattress from a good quality supplier is going to be designed to last for longer. It's not just how the mattress lasts in terms of its comfortability as well. It's also about over time, mattresses, if they're not looked after, can get dirty, can be stained, can get all sorts of bacteria and so on. So if you're not using a match protector, for example, then you are going to stain and you're going to get microbes or a bacteria, for example, onto a mattress, and that's not what you're going to want. So it really does depend. You can't just put a set time. They say 7 years because that's probably the median. If it's a cheaper mattress, it's going to be a lot less. If it's going to be a more expensive mattress, it's going to last for longer. If you were like me before I came to this business, we've had a mattress for 20 years and we still think it's all right. As soon as I came here and I then really started to understand mattresses, and actually I should have changed that 10 years earlier. So that one probably should have been changed at 10 years. So it really is depending on the environment and how the mattress has been looked after. But if you just take the median, yes, you're right, 7 years is what everybody says, and they say it for a reason, because you can't always put a number on it. It's like, how long will a car last?
Yeah. And is there the equivalency of how long a bed should last or how long a headboard should last in that same way? Because presumably, it's the springs as well in the mattress, etc. So does that apply if you've got a divan which has springs in it, that ideally that should be replaced after a certain amount of time?
So it depends if it's slatted base, depends on the quality of the slats, whether the slats no longer offer a springiness, they just tend to almost bow the other way because of use over time. A lot of people change it because they don't like the style of it anymore. A lot of people change it because certain joints have given up in terms of whether it be the weight of the person, the usage of the bed, how it's been used, and so on. So there's many different reasons to want to change it. I'd probably say the number one reason is because people's styles change, trends change. So your mum and dad's pink headboard.
It's still going.
But they might say, actually, when they redecorate the bedroom, that will probably go, if you know what I mean. So it depends on how often you decorate rooms in your house is probably the number one thing for changing. Or when you move and you actually take things apart, maybe they don't go back together the same. People move every 7 years, they say, which ties in with the bed change and so on. So often when you move things, they don't always go back together the same way and so on. So that tends to be a driver. In terms of the base giving up, if it's a solid base, it's not going to change very much. It's normally the slats, or if it's a sprung base, but then it will depend on the quality of the springs. It's like with a mattress. Many people come in and they bought a mattress from somewhere else, and they say it tends to sag in the middle. And that's where either the springs have given up or the filling on the inside hasn't been tied in to the bed or to the mattress enough. So they tend to move across the mattress. And then you find you're sleeping in a dip. And that's not very good for your back. It's not very good for your love life, when you're constantly rolling over the wrong way and so on,
Quick shout out for our sponsor, checkatrade.com. Search recommended tradespeople online with checkatrade.com.
And Martin, on that note, can we talk about bed sizes? So like when we've got, I think sometimes people are even confused about sort of doubles and queens and which one is bigger than the other. And then obviously we've got the really big ones, the king and the super king. And sort of in terms of popularity or, obviously cost is a factor for some people. But, what would you advise as a guideline when people are thinking about the size of the bed?
Okay, so we make any beds any size. We have the more standard sizes and we also do the bed linen to go with it, which a lot of people don't do. Probably the biggest bed linen we sell is for the 7-foot beds because we sell the mat protectors and the duvets and everything for that, and that's quite common. People, they think about buying the bed, but they don't think about getting the bed linen to suit it. And nowadays people prefer to have fitted sheets. So the first thing I say, if you're going to look to buy something, don't go and buy something that's non-standard, because then when you want to buy replacement sheets and so on, you're going to be stuck where to get them from, So I would say stick to the standard sizes. The confusion over standard size is because Europe has a different way of calling things king, queens, as does the UK, as does the US. So a queen size in the US, and if you've ever been on holiday in the States and you ask for a queen size bed, and actually it's not quite the size that you thought it was because it's different to the UK. So in the UK, the standard that most companies tend to work their average pricing on is a king size, which is 5 foot or 1,500 millimeters, 150 centimeters. That's the standard size that if you're looking for a price, it's the natural one to look at price-wise. So that's a 5-foot bed. And I would say for any couple, that's a nice size. You get a decent amount of personal space in a 5-foot bed. When you go to a double, which is 4'6" in the UK, or 13, 15 in terms of the metric size, a little bit tight. So depending on how much you can't have an argument and then go to bed in that one because you're going to be right on top of each other in that. Yeah. Whereas a 5-foot, you've got a decent amount of space. When you go for if you want a bit more luxury, then you go from a king size, which is the 5-foot. You can go to what you call straight the way up to a super king, which is 6 foot, so an extra foot of space. Or you actually go halfway. So a small super king is actually 5'6". So things tend to go up in sizes of 6 inches. Yeah? So you have king size, you have small super king, and then you have a super king. So it's 5'6" or 6 foot is the super king. Then from there you can go up to an emperor, but it doesn't just go all the way to emperor. You've got a small emperor and a large emperor. A small emperor is 6'6", and a large emperor is 7 foot. And once you start getting to 7 foot, it's great. But we then have people that actually know, I want an 8 foot bed. So we do 8 foot beds as well, where we get 2 4 foot 120 centimeter mattresses, and we zip and link them together. So anything from a 5 foot upwards, we offer a zip and link option. So if people like to have it so they can turn the mattress easier, because mattresses should be turned regularly to make sure the fillings are evenly spread throughout the mattress. But all of those options from a 5 foot upwards can be zip and link. But also all of the options above a 5 foot from someone like Vicepring come with dual tension. So if you and your partner are a different weight and like a different feel to a mattress, one of you can have it as a soft, the other one can have it as a medium, a firm, an extra firm. So you can both have the mattress in a different tension, which is also fantastic. So when you think about size, it's not just the size, it's also who's sleeping in it, and do you want different tensions of mattresses as well? So many things to think
like
about.
That. It would be very clearly defined then, which side is mine and yours, and
Absolutely. But remember, when you turn it up and turn it over, you've got to make sure you don't just flip it over, because then you'll be sleeping on the other side.
Exactly. Now, you haven't mentioned a queen bed there.
In the UK, we don't really call it queen. It's a US size and a European size. So in the UK, we don't tend to call it a queen size. Call it a double. In the UK is what we probably could call a queen. But really, we go double, king, super king, and then you have a small super king. So we don't tend to use that as a terminology in the UK.
Interesting. So my question on this is, I've got a double. It's 4'6". We actually don't have much room. It's a small enough
I think you need
bedroom.
a bigger bed.
I do need a bigger bed, but it will just be all bed. It'll be like wall to wall bed. Do you have this issue with customers? Because we constantly speak about we need a bigger bed, but we sort of don't have the space, and you don't want the bed just to take up the whole room. So apart from buying a new home, do you find that being a consideration, especially London, tight spaces, apartments, etc.?
We do sell a lot of the Ottoman beds in London. So that's where I have 3 grown-up sons have all left home, live in the London area, and they've all got Ottoman beds, because new apartments nowadays, they just don't have the space. You need the storage. So that's why it's so good to be able to lift up that bed and have all that extra space there. Is fantastic. So Ottomans are quite an in thing at this moment, especially when you've got a smaller apartment and so on. As for the apartment side, all 3 of my boys have got 4'6" Ottomans because of the size of the apartment as well. So that's something that we can't change, but we cater for it. So,
what's the one thing that surprises you about people that come in shopping? And in particular, I'm wondering about customers in couples. Surely there must be loads of sort of disagreements or interesting arguments. And I'll give you an example. My other half, he likes to hang his feet off the end of the bed. So that rules out ever having a sleigh bed or one that has a foot on the bottom of it. And I quite like some of these designs, but I'm now never allowed to get one because apparently your feet have to dangle off the edge. You must get loads of interesting things like that. He's not tall. That's the thing. We're both small or vertically challenged. So it's just obviously a habit.
Yeah, well, I suppose the key thing for me is that when people go and buy a bed, it always amazes me that people just sit on the edge of the bed to see how comfortable it is. That's not how you work out if a bed's going to be comfortable. You need to get on the bed, take your shoes off, lie down on it, and not just lie. Most people just lie backwards on the bed and think of England. It's not the way to test a bed. You need to lie on the bed for at least 5 to 10 minutes in the position that you would normally sleep. So if you're a side sleeper, lay on your side, and see how it feels. If you're a back seat, someone sleeps on your back, lay down and see how it feels on your back for 5-10 minutes. It's like people when they buy a bed, it's like buying a new house. You wander around a house for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. Oh yeah, we'll buy it. And you might be spending the next 10 years of your life there. So spend more time, whether it be looking at a house or choosing your bed. It never ceases to amaze me. And then they say, but it's not quite comfortable enough. Well, spend some time on it, because just sitting on the edge does not tell you how comfortable a bed is. You really need to lay on it properly, because when you come to choose, let's say, again, it's Vice Spring, because that's what we major in. They have 26 different models of mattress, and all of those models come in soft, medium, firm, extra firm. So to understand which one is right for you. Now, we help you through that. We have sleep experts that talk you through how to try it and what's best for you and where you get pains and really, to find the right bed that's comfortable for you. So we can help and talk you through that. But to me, I would always want to get people to come in, try the mattress, spend an hour in the store, not just 10 minutes choosing a bed. So I hope that answers your question.
That sounds like really good advice. But actually, you've picked up on something or mentioned something there, which I'd noticed on your website about the sleep consultation service that you offer. So I was kind of intrigued by that, like wondering, actually, for some people, is that the right starting point? I mean, I fall into the camp as somebody who has more problems staying awake than going asleep. So I don't think I need to consider that so much in buying a bed, but lots and lots of people I meet are the opposite, and they're like, I find it so difficult to go to sleep. So I wondered about this sleep consultation and whether it's actually kind of helping people find better solutions for their sleep, kind of as a starting point before they even think about style or materials or storage or, all of these other considerations.
We have people that are buying just for the style and so on, but really when it comes to the mattress, a mattress is not just a mattress. It really is something that is going to help you sleep better. It's going to give you a better quality of life. If you go through the night and get an 8-hour sleep, oh my God, I'd kill for that. It makes such a difference. So what we do, what our sleep consultants do, is they will talk you through. They will find out, are you getting any pains when you sleep, and are you getting any aches? How do you like to sleep? Are you a side sleeper? Are you a back sleeper? Do you prefer it more comfortable? Do you prefer a harder bed? The different spring tension, it's not, you can have a comfortable top, but you can have a stronger spring underneath to still give you that support. So you can have it like you feel like you're sleeping on a cloud. So we can put what we call a topper on, and some of the toppers that we have, it's like going, you go away to that 5-star hotel and you lay down and think, oh, I wish I had this bed at home. Now, part of that is all in your head because you're not at home, because you're relaxed and you're away on holiday and so on. But you want to get that feeling of that luxurious and that sumptuous bed at home. So that's what we try and bring to you. We try and find out what it is that you're looking for. What do you feel is luxury? We try and replicate that for you. So at the same time, giving you the support for your back or the way that you like to sleep, with you want to keep your spine straight and so on. But our guys and girls take you through that and talk you through the process. Some people just want to buy a mattress, and we can just do your mattress. But what we'd rather do is make sure you get the right bed for you every time.
It is amazing, and it never ceases to amaze me that you're going to spend, if you're sleeping 8 hours, let's assume you are, that's a third of your day. Now, where else do you spend your money? We make the biggest purchases, a house, walking around it for 5 minutes, a mattress that we're going to be sleeping on for a third of our life. And yet we'll invest in the aesthetics of something rather than something that's such a core piece for, your mental health and everything, that sleep, your health in general as well, and all the impacts that it has. So, yeah, we're all just fickle apparently and just like to look at nice things.
Yeah, I felt exactly the same. When I first came to join in Inside to Bed, I was a total novice. Didn't really appreciate or understand the quality of sleep. I actually, for 7 years, I flew around the globe, 120 flights a year with Pog and Pole, going from country to country. I was almost in the hotel room every other night. And I've tried beds around the world, but I still really didn't appreciate what was the difference between a £300 mattress and a £30,000 mattress. and that's what we sell at Zoda Bed, anything from £300 to £30,000. And it's to understand that. Now, when I see the work that goes into it and the products and how they're built and the materials that go inside, to have alpaca wool, inside a mattress. So why? What does it do? The difference it makes is unbelievable. Horsehair, American horsetail, it's the springiness it gives on a mattress. It's just the different products and so on, and what they bring to you. It makes such a difference to me. Now, if I was looking to buy a mattress, I understand so much more now, and that's what I want our team to do: is educate people about not just the right one for comfortability, but also really you're investing in something that you're going to sleep in for 8 hours a day for potentially 10 years of your life. It's worth spending that little bit more. You spend more time choosing a car or choosing a kitchen and so on than you do, but most of your time is spent in the bed. So always a worthwhile investment. But I'm going to say that, I suppose.
What apart from the mattress, what's your favourite bed? What bed would you buy in the morning from the Zoda Bed range?
I like the Leviosa bed.
Oh,
I was going to ask you about
this one. It looks so futuristic. I don't think it would be for me, but wow, it is a showstopper just to look at it.
It's when I first saw this idea, it was a gentleman that was an independent designer, designed and made this bed, and we're like, wow, we've got to have that. So we teamed up with him, and it is just amazing how it works. It's just it literally is a counterbalance bed, but it will take 2 elephants on it. It's that strong. It really just it does exactly what it says in the tin. It's just floating there. It's amazing. And you don't need anything special. The floor has to be fairly solid, because it literally is a steel that sits on the floor that goes up around in a U shape that holds the bed there. So it doesn't need any anchoring to the wall of any great degree. Yes, just to keep it in line. But otherwise, it looks amazing. And you can set it whatever height you want. So we've got it set at the moment at a height of 2 feet off the ground. You can have it as much as a foot off the ground or as much as 4 foot off the ground. It's just, I think it's amazing. And then you can put whatever mattress on it you want. So it really is just the frame. And then from there, you can have whatever level of comfort that you want to have on it as well. I just think it looks great.
So just to describe this actually for our listeners, this bed doesn't touch the floor at any point. Isn't that correct? I know you're saying there's a steel underneath, but it touches the wall, and then it looks like, well, it is essentially completely floating. So it looks impossible almost, doesn't it? When
it looks like a shelf nearly that's way extending out.
Yeah. We have it in our flagship store on the King's Road in Chelsea. People wander past and they just look and stare at it and think, how is that doing that? It just looks amazing, because you can't see anything. You can't see how it's supported at all. And it's just a very clever hidden steel that does it. It's very simple design, but very, very effective. And it just looks amazing.
So I guess in order to use that, then you probably need floorboards, do you? So you can take them up as opposed to a concrete floor.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
No, you don't need a solid floor. It'll work on floorboards. It'll work on a solid floor. It makes no difference. It's so versatile in terms of how it can be installed. It looks and works. It's so simple in terms of the design. It's like, damn, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
So do many people buy that bed? Like, it looks really amazing, but personally, I wouldn't buy it. But do many people actually buy these?
We have found since we've sold it. So we've sold a few, but not as many as I'd like to sell. But what we do sell a lot is we have a very similar product that is a quarter of the price, which is basically almost looks like a floating bed, but we have legs that are strategically set, so support system is strategically set inside. So you can't see completely underneath it, but it has a very thin base. And looks like it's floating. So it's not exactly the same. It's just, a more cost-effective, value-engineered version. So we sell a lot of those.
Do you find that your bed sales are quite influenced by trends. So like maybe the Leviosa bed will come out of Star Wars or Star Trek, those type of movies. When there's releases, maybe there's sort of a surge in that. And, I'm thinking I recently watched Bridgerton on Netflix, which is very period drama. So, that probably leads back into, the Louis V cane bed that you mentioned, or, the Dickens bed. I just looked at that and thought, wow, that's such a showpiece in a room. Do you find that people are influenced in their furniture decisions and their bed purchases based on sort of what's in popular culture?
I think that's whatever you see, whether it be on Instagram, whether it be, I was watching The Crown, for example, and the period as time
Great
moves on, that you
yeah.
see different beds. So 4-poster beds have been selling well. Wonder why. The Crown's been on at the weekend. So and I find the same since Bridgerton. Maybe the Louis Kane style is really in at this moment in time. So it can change it, because influencing the way people say, oh, I like that style, or I like that look, because that's our natural instinct. You see something, whether it be a bed or a dress, or that's how fashion works, isn't it? It feeds,
Yeah, it can be subconscious as well, can't it? Somebody,
Exactly.
Is watching something that they really enjoy and like, then they happen to see the bed that sort of connects their brain back to the memory of watching and enjoying that. And so it can all link together. But I'm conscious we're coming to the end of the podcast, but I wanted to just ask you about 4-poster beds, which you briefly mentioned there, because I saw, there's quite a selection on the website. And just how popular are these at the moment? Is this an example of something that you see going in and out of popularity over time?
So a few years ago, we pimped up our 4-poster beds. And so when I say pimped up, we turned it into a metal bed. So we have them in like a brushed brass, and we have it in a nickel finish. But we also, last year, introduced a rose gold finish, because the trend of rose gold was in for a couple of years. So we find at the moment we are having quite a lot of interest in our 4-poster beds, because they've got fabricated headboards that you can have in any fabric again that you want with it. But it's a really nice looking range of beds. So we're finding at the moment definitely 4-posters are in. Not so much. We're not doing so many of the Gothic style, but very much the more modern 4-poster is doing very well.
I saw a very nice one on your Instagram. I think it was some, it nearly looked like a girl's room with some pink. And that's the thing, isn't it? That one bed can look so different depending upon the room that you put it into and that setting that you want to create around the bed as well. So, it is the foundation, but you can build on it however you want.
Exactly. So that's why our styles are so, we take a lot on people having their own bespoke products, because there are so many other elements that interior design or you want to design the room that it's going in with. So by having everything, whether it be the fabricated, the headboard, whether it be the colour that we paint the timber, and so on, by having that bespoke, it enables you to have something that's personal for you and that works well in your room setting.
I also love the idea that maybe if there's a bespoke element, like you're saying, the fabric within the 4-poster bed, that's something you could presumably update if you moved house or wanted to change the decor, without feeling then that you've invested in this whole, expensive bed that you need to then completely replace. So I think that's quite nice for people to think about the flexibility going forward, these things.
Yeah, our Hoxton 4-poster bed that has 4 panels that are very simple to fabricate, as in to do the upholstery on. And just changing the upholstery panels, those 4 panels, completely change the look of the bed. It really just change it from a nice pink to a bright blue or a racing green. It really does just change the whole look and aesthetics of the bed.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, Martin, I certainly feel quite inspired I think it's over 10 years since I've bought a bed, so I feel almost like I've got a license now to start thinking about the next one. So yeah, it was amazing to hear all your insight, lots to think about. Definitely, I think, the idea of bespoke elements for me is one of my top takeaways. So thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
If you enjoyed our podcast, we would be delighted if you could rate, review, and subscribe on your favourite podcast provider. This will help others who are seeking home and furnishing advice and inspiration discover the DNA of home interiors. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at the DNA of Home Interiors.
If you are looking for inspiration and help in designing your home interiors, take a look at Audrey Whelan's masterclasses on audreywhelan.com/events. And don't forget to check out youfurnish.com, a search and comparison website which helps connect people with amazing furniture from over 100 retailers. We designed it to solve the problem we and thousands like us faced furnishing our homes. And now we are really excited that everyone can search, discover, compare and shop for their home all in one place.
Thank you to our sponsor checkatrade.com for their support in bringing this episode to you. And most importantly, thank you all for listening today.
We hope you can join us next time.